Hello, hope you're doing good. Just a quick shout out today. It is Monday, March the 9th. So this is a big week. At least it's a big week for me because this week is the first, uh, the week that we'll have our first big state event since I've been here. And it's been kind of unusual. I've been here since August in Michigan and have not had a major state event where I could kind of address the people and address the ministers all in one room. And so finally, I'll get to do that. I hope, because I hope you will be there. And that's why I am sending out this little short video today. It's kind of unusual when you go with a normal assembly term. You come in August, and then you have a state ministers meeting in a few weeks, and it gives you a chance to say hello and introduce yourself and those kind of things. I think a benefit, though, for this kind of long lag between state events is that I have had more time to get a feel for the state, and I feel like I do have some direction, and I have a burden on my heart to care about us and want us to win here in Michigan. And so I do feel like that my remarks will be more appropriate and more on point. So let me just run four things by you real quick. Just prayer conference begins this Thursday, and there's information on the website and on our social media posts. I won't belabor the point, but let me encourage you to make an effort to be there. We have three services. We have Thursday night, Friday morning, and Friday evening. And this is for all Church of God members. I encourage you to be there. And of course, especially our pastors, but all of us, this is your church, and this is a chance for us to get together as a family. And then I do want to remind you that it's just something that I do as an administrative bishop, as a pastor in my home state. I always wanted my state bishop to speak. They very seldom did. I don't know why, and it's not a right or wrong thing, but I want to hear from my pastor. I wanted to hear from my leader, and so I don't take a night service. I'm under no illusion that everybody's going to want to come and drive and hear me do a night service. I can go to your local church if I'm invited, or sometimes I invite myself. But I do speak, and I usually take a morning. And so this Friday morning, I'm going to be speaking to all of us. I will give us an update on the status of our campground and selling our campground. You all have a vested interest in that, for right or wrong, but my assessment of where we're at and what we need to do, I feel like I do have some guidance, and I think I've heard from God. You will have to decide that, but we'll talk about that. And then here's something else. So that's prayer conference is number one. In particular, Friday morning, I would really love for you to come and hear my heart, hear what I've got to say. And then on Saturday, I understand it's probably been 20 years or more since we've done this, but and the enrollment has been picking up some. I know it just hasn't been on our radar, but anytime I get us together at a state event, I try to layer on there as much as I can, leverage it for as much benefit as possible. So we're having an equip conference or a tools conference, whatever you want to call it, but very low price. I think it's $25, but I've got keynote speakers, excellent people that are going to be speaking. Our night speaker, Jacob Skelton, he pastors the flagship church in Illinois. There are a lot of great churches there, but that's sort of the flagship church, the headquarters church. Great guy. He was chairman of my council, and he is a churchman, a tremendous preacher, and a successful pastor. He'll be partnering with me, and in there we're talking to our senior leaders, Brother Lax and Sister Emily. They have a whole different track for the youth and children's student ministry, several good speakers. We have the Swanks are coming in, just the top chef speakers, Mark Swank and Lynn, they'll be speaking. And so just you can, there's the information there on our website. But I encourage you, on Saturday, we'll start at 10. let you out about 1 o'clock, and that'll include lunch. And so even if you live in the UP, it'll be a little bit of a drive, but you can still get back home in time to get to bed and be up on Sunday morning for the next day's service. So I encourage us to let's stay and help ourselves spiritually, and also to help ourselves materially or intellectually, or how you want to word it. So those are the three top things: prayer conference, my Friday morning, and then the tools or equip conference. All right, let me leave you with a little equipping here before I sign off. Every day I read so many quotes. I add a new quote just from books that I'm reading and lessons I've heard or things I've heard others say. And so then I go back and I try to read them all every year, work through them. So it grows every year, takes a little longer. And then I have some that are so significant that I want to remind myself, and I'll read them 2 or 3 times in a year. And so the one of those, this may not sound very phenomenal to you, but I like to read it several times a year. It just reminds me. And it came from a book, Unreasonable Hospitality: The Remarkable Power of Giving People More Than They Expect. And it's a guy that owned a restaurant, and it became the #1 restaurant in the world. And a guy by the name of Will Guidara, Guidara. And just an excellent book. All truth is God's truth. And I like to read broadly, and it gives me a different perspective. And I really read this. I never go in a restaurant now that I don't see it. I see it different than I used to. And I'm observing things from reading this book and then another one that he recommended as well. But here's the quote I want to leave with you. And he uses it in terms of employees. And we can call them church members or ministers, but you can put it in your world. But here's the quote: employees who aren't succeeding tend to fall into 2 camps: the ones who aren't trying and the ones who are. The end result may be similar, but the two need to be handled differently. You've got to move heaven and earth to help the people who are trying. All right, the people who aren't trying, there's not a thing you can do to help them. But the people who are trying, they may be breaking the china. They may be really messing things up. But if they're trying, let me give you an example. I remember years ago, my first church, I didn't have hardly any tithe payers. And I had this guy that had a real job, and he was in and out, up and down. And so part of my motivation was spiritual and for his benefit, but part of it is I just needed to pay the bills. And so I really was working on this guy, trying to convince him of God's plan. Prove me, God said. I was trying to convince him that tithing was the route for him to get out of financial bondage and to prosper. So he'd hit and miss, he'd tip, he'd give, every once in a while, but he'd never bought in. So one Sunday, he came in, I said, and I won't call his name, but I said, we'll just say John. John, did you got your tithes today? I met him at the door. Oh, preacher, I forgot. I tell you what, because I was trying to get a good habit in. Teach him how to do it. I said, I tell you what, I'll pay your tithes. You can pay me back. It's important. Okay, we'll do that. And so, and this is at my first church. I wasn't making a check. I wasn't getting a check from the church. It was kind of hit and miss there. Occasionally I get a little stipend, very small. But I took my hard-earned money, my wife, at that time I had one little baby, my son, and I took the little bit of money I had, and I wrote his tithe check out of my checking account, filled out the envelope, helped him fill out the envelope, made a big deal out of it, and he put it in the offering plate, put my money with his name, getting credit for paying his tithes, into the offering plate. But I was trying to teach him something. I was trying to help him. Well, that guy never did pay me back my money. He never did pay back. He didn't keep his word. He never paid me back. He never learned to tithe. He never got his act together. He never really walked with the Lord. This is just a sad story. Now, run the clock up. Many years later, there was a young man, young married man, and he was paying his tithes, really trying to do right, and he was faithful, and but he was struggling. Just like the widow with the barrel, when she began to obey the Lord, the barrel didn't run out, but the drought wasn't broken immediately either. And so sometimes there's a lag. God says, are you going to really trust me? And so this guy was really trying, putting God first, but things were difficult. And he kind of got over his skis a little bit and went into debt on a car. It was more car than he really needed. And young men would do that sometime. Well, we all do that sometime. And so he had this heavy car payment. And it was he'd gotten behind, and they were threatening to take his car. And he was talking to me about, Pastor, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I said, you're here every week when the church needs you. And the church is going to be here now for you when you need us. And for 3 or 4 months, I had money set aside, approved by the church council. For 3 or 4 months, I paid his car payment for him till he got back on his feet. And today, that young man is an older man. He continued to tithe. He continued to prosper. He got his house in order. And he is one of the, if not the largest, one of the largest tithe payers in his church today. What did I do? I moved heaven and earth to help the guy that was trying. I learned early on, the guy that won't try, don't waste your time. You love them. You marry them, you bury them, you dedicate their children, you preach to them, you visit them in a hospital, you do the things, the minimal things. But don't get all bent out of shape on the losers. I know it's a poor choice, but Paul said run to win. The losers, the people that won't try. Don't get all bent out of shape. Don't fuss at them. Don't scold them. But find those people that are trying. They may not sing on tune all the time. They may not play the instruments right. They may not dress the way you want them to dress, or whatever it is. But if they're trying and their heart's in it, then move heaven and earth to help those people in your church. There's your future. There's your future. So there you go. Here's my little word for us today. Again, prayer conference starting Thursday night. I'll look forward to seeing you there, and I will especially look forward to chatting with you on Friday morning as I kind of give us a state of the state address on how we're doing here in Michigan. All right, love you guys and gals, and count it a privilege to be a part of the church family of the great Church of God in Michigan. God's blessings. We'll see you soon.